收唔到我。
影唔到你。
Welcome to iOS workshop number 4. So now we will start with our previous week project. So you need to open your previous week sports car app in Xcode.
唔係個 mon 啲曲要放大啲。唐真，你識啲乜嘢？哦。
我上次上過嚟喎。
So last week we have made 2 out of the 3 view controllers. So today we will continue to make the 3rd view controller into our app. So first, open your Xcode project and open the storyboard. And open your storyboard. And then you need to add 1 more view controller. So you choose view controller and drag it into the storyboard. And I'll resize it to iPhone 6s. Awesome. And then I will click on the controller in the middle, and then I will control drag the view controller in the middle and drag it to the new view controller. This. And I will select show. And then you will create a new segue, a new link to the view controller.
หลอกเนาะ切先。
點解啲位唔同嘅？你改咗名？
我唔知啊，我唔知點解會變，我叫 Cartable View 咧。
我好啲喎。
係咯，得我個唔同我唔知。
你放下啲標題嘅。
阿蘇點解得我嘅名同埋我知唔知點改？你成日 Wood View，但係佢哋係 Wood View，我叫 Cartable View。
因為你拉嘅方法，咁你 sorry 係 N 嘅。
我唔知之前係咪亂撳嗰啲仔要 story， 即係 cut 咗 STORY。
改翻名嘅可能會之後嘅 N。
好似仲要
同埋大家 N。
邊個要改翻？仲有一個位我都要改翻。係咩？上次見 Keep 要 set 翻嗰個唔係話，佢 one 嘅時候會 N。佢要 set 定嗰個要 set 翻。
因為拉嘅方法唔同。After you have dragged, you click on the new link, and then you open the attribute inspector, and then you give a name to this link. We'll call it home to car segway. So after that, we will continue to design the wheel controller. Okay, so now you zoom in the wheel controller. So as you can see, there's an image at the top and then there's a bunch of text at the bottom. So to design a wheel controller like this, we will first use an image view at the top. So I will drag an image view and put it in the wheel controller. This, and then I will drag it into like this. And I will put the image as let's say car 1. And for the mode, I will make it expect field. And then I will click on keep subviews. I'll click on this keep subviews. Then after that, I'm going to set the constraints. So I want my image view to stick to the left, stick to the right, and stick to the top. And then I will make the height of it 281. So to do that, I will untick the constraint margins and take the top, left, and right, and take the height and change the height to 281. So it's top, left, right, and the height 281, and then you can press on add 4 constraints. After adding 4 constraints, you can update frames to see the latest constraints. Then for the text part, we are going to use something called text view. It's called text view, not text field. So text view is for a bunch of text, so it's VIW view, not the text field. So just drag text view and put it right at the bottom of the image view. And then you just adjust it to fill the screen. And for this text field, I want it to be 16 pixels from all 4 sides. So you will untick the constraint to margins, add 4 sides, each of it make it to 16. 16 pixels from all 4 sides, and then add 4 constraints. And then update frames. And then there is it.
唔係有冇拉過？我好似有問你哋拉過，這是不是？我都拉咗其實，你試下。點解要睇喎？其實有石嘅，呢個 OK。如果你掃晒啲字咁樣，全部拉大啲，咁會唔會影響嗰個 substrate？唔得，你應該係 set 錯咗。應該下邊。下邊 set 錯咗。下邊 set 錯呢個其實。
Now, after setting everything, we will create a new class for this new view controller. So, in Xstream, create a new file and under source script file, and you can call it car view controller. Great. And this is your car view controller. And to finish setting up, first change the foundation to UI kit and declare the class car view controller. Superclass to be UI view controller. That's it. After that, you go back to main storyboard and you click on the most recent, the new view controller you have created and set the class to this one. You click on the class and then you set it to car view controller. And then you're going to open the side by side view like this. And you need to make it automatic. And you choose car view controller. So you have a side-by-side view of the view controller with the class. Then you are going to do the drag and drop. So choose UI image view and then control drag it here and call it car image view. And then you will choose the text field and control drag the text field and call it content text view. Yeah.
Save được là sẽ
So the controller logic is like this. When a card is tagged, and then we'll pass to this controller. So we'll declare a variable to hold the card is passed. So we are going to add. So we are going to add a new variable called selected card and make it an optional type card. So that when we can pass the selected card from the table view to this view controller, and then we can show the info of the card here. And then to show it, we will override view deload and call super.viewDeload. Okay. When the view controller is being loaded, we will pass the selected card and then make the image to become the card image and make the content view become the content of the car. So we always use if let to unwrap an optional. So if let car equals to select the car. If let name equals to car. And then lastly, we will set the details. Car details. And we will set the content view dot text equals to details. So the first one, we change the navigation bar, which is the top of the screen, to the name of the car. Then it will change the image to the car image, and it will change the content to the car details. But before that, we need to do something in table view before we can display the car. So you can open a new tab and open your car's table view controller. Okay. So to pass the car object, we will create another selected car in a table view controller, so that we can pass it into another view controller. Selected car. This one is used to hold the selected car, and then it will pass to the next controller. So we declare this one in the table view controller. And then right at the bottom of the cell for row function, we are going to use another table view delegate, which is will override is called is select. We'll override the function table view, which is select row at index path. So this function is called when the user tap on one of the table view cell, and this function is being called. So this one. If you want to test, you can just test this. Print index path dot row. So now we will do a test. Whenever the user press on the table view cell, we will print the current row and put it in the debug message. So you can try to run it. So if I tap on row 1, the message is 0. And then row 2 is 1, row 3 is 2. You can try it yourself. So what we're going to do now is to pass the car of the current row and make it the selected car. To do that, first remove the print. I'll call the car of the current row, so let car equals to cars array, and then I'll pass in the index of the row. So this will get the car of the current row and store it in a car. And then I will let selected car, which is a variable at the top, and make it car. I'll pass this variable and make it the selected car at the top so that I can pass it to the next controller. And lastly, I need to call another wheel controller. So to do that, you can go back to storyboard, and then you look back at this link. So this link is called home to car segue. So I'll just copy that name and open the table view controller, and right below the select row at index path, right below selected car, we just call perform segue. This one. And then identify will pass the home to car segue, and the sender is self. And then you can try to run it. And you can see that when you press on it, it will give you another control, and then you can go back. And then you will press this one. You can see that nothing is being passed to the controller because there's still 3 lines of code to write before you can pass anything. But at least now you can pass to the next controller. So to pass anything, so you need to override another method. So I will do it right below view dot. There's a function to override. It's called prepare the segue. So whenever your view controller is trying to call another view controller, they will call this method called prepare for segue. So now I will get the controller I need to present, so I will check. Every segue has an identifier, so segue.identifier double equals to this one. I will check if the identifier is the same as the home to car segment. If it is the same, I will call the destination controller. So I'll declare that destination equals to segway dot. There's a destination view controller, and I will force cast it because I am very slow. I'm very sure that the destination is a car view controller, so I can use the exclamation mark to force cast the controller into car view controller. And then to pass the car, we just call the destination selected car to be our selected car. And that's it. You can try to run it again, then you can actually pass the car into the view controller. Yeah, it's working. So if you are done, then you are done with this app, and then you can take a 10 minutes break, and we will continue with our notes app at 3:55.
先都係，我先等佢，我操行啲嘢等成車，搞到跟唔上嘅，係部機跟唔上，跟住搞到時間。其實啲咩數據啊？有咩回收？ 我就冇吹脹。
越講越嚟。
佢唔係我知啊，我睇完之後，我睇唔通，所以好誇張啦。呢個我識嘅。
佢原來係有即係佢本身最唔知嘅 level 但係某一時間你嗰日就算你嗰日開咗台都如果佢有個 school 咁樣，但係 iOS 嗰啲啫嘛，呢啲佢都就佢好似唔戴眼鏡冇見到關係，我會睇啲。哦係喎，或者佢都已經佢包喺呢個，即係佢你咪見過個標，你接到嗰個標 A 就係近日3點，唔知 school 嘅時候，但係你自己都到即係你之前我睇稅收嗰個係咯，最上級嗰個有少少。如果你接受到，佢做咩考改嘅嘛？唔係如果你接受到嗰種 slow view，即係我一開始講有少少分嗰個，就係會講啲乜改就係可以係就係其實 OK。最好冇少少。哇！點解條書係可以搞喺呢度？首先你嘅感覺，大家會係點？咁咪咁講其實嘥啦得啦，嘥啦得啦點講？
So now we'll continue to make the notes app. So for the rest of this class and next class, we'll be making this app. It's a very simple app for taking notes, but then we will make use of the core data technology of Apple. So core data is basically something like SQLite or MySQL. Then you can use to store data in the phone, so you don't need to store it on the server. So, but today we are going to make the UI first, and next week we are going to learn the core data, how to store and how to edit and how to delete the record in the table. So to make this app, first we will create a new project in Xcode. So I'll create a new project and choose single view application, and I'll call it notes. Choose Swift as language and devices with iPhone, and remember to use core data. If you don't take it now, you will have trouble later. Just click on all three, use core data, unit test, and UI test. And I'll create on once you have created the project, you can see you have a nodes.xc data model file. So make sure you have this file after you have created the project. Okay. So for our node object, we only need two attributes. So every node will have a unique ID, so we can retrieve the node for later use. And every node only have a content, and the content is a bunch of strings we enter and store as node. So to model this model into our table, so you back to Xcode. And so this XC data model is actually how you declare the table in core data in Xcode. So to do that, you will click on add entity, and then you have a new entity. So this is basically a new table. And click on it and press enter, and you can change the name to node, NOT. So make sure you spell the notes correctly, because it is very important.
Sure.
你有冇剔過我哋下？
同我一樣。要
再開個啊，
你要再開個 project 㗎。
After you have created the entity node, at the attribute place, we are going to make something like this, ID and content. So at the attribute, we are going to add, and then this one as ID. Make sure to spell it correctly, so the type is string. And then you add another attribute and call it content. And declare it string. And this is the very basic table we're declaring. Now we have finished declaring our table, so we'll go back to design the UI for our app. To do that, you always go back to the storyboard. So we are going to delete the default view controller again. So just click on it and delete. So to make something like this is actually very similar to our previous sports car app. So we have a navigation controller, a table view controller, and a view controller. So we only need 3 of them so we can make this node app. So to do that, you will first click on navigation controller and then drag it into the table, into the storyboard. And I'll resize it to iPhone 6.
Navigation control.
And after that, you need to declare an initial controller. So you click on navigation controller, and at the right pane, you need to take on its initial view controller, so that the app will know which one to launch when the app is being launched. And similar to our previous app, we would drag another view controller and put it at the rightmost place, and then we'll put it here. So you drag a view controller and put it at the rightmost place at the storyboard. And then again, we'll do the same thing as our previous app. We'll click on this view controller and control drag and create a new segue. This one. And you click on the segue and name it maybe home to not. Segue.
拉完掃之後喺呢度唔再咁啊，睇定食飯食飯。And we are going to rename the view controller to something we want, so I will so you choose navigation item. It's not navigation bar, but navigation item. And drag it into the view controller. Drag the navigation item and drag it into view controller, and then you can change the title to maybe notes.
And then now we're going to configure the table view cell. And because it is a very simple app, we'll use the default table view. So on the table view, we can select the table view cell inside the table view. And for the style, we're going to use basic. A basic table view cell will have a title, and that's it. So because all we need is just the title or the content of the notes. So for the style, we'll choose basic. And then for the identifier, we are going to call it note cell. And make sure you spell it correctly, because you will need to use it later. Note cell for the identifier. And then one last thing to set is the accessory. For that, we are going to use disclosure indicator. After you select disclosure indicator, you have an arrow at the end of the table view cell. And for the third view controller, we are going to do the same. Again, for the third view controller, we'll drag the navigation item and put it on top of the bar. And we can call it whatever you want to call it. So you have something like this. And basically, you can try to run it on a simulator and see what will it show. You will see notes and then a list of notes, and that's it.
好似頭先我俾開唔知2個字啊，總之係一
1個字多啲啦，
差唔多一路打佢一路輕嘅。
係啊，嗰陣時會輕，然後撈完佢，跟住打係會並翻你過去呢個位啊嘛。
係彩色嗰邊係啊撈嘅，佢一差唔多撈完你
撈完啦。
So now we continue to write the class for the table view controller. So to do that, I'll open a new tab, and then I'll open a new file, and I'll call the file. I'll call it home controller. So we declare a new file home controller.script and have an empty class. And we'll do the same thing and again. So we import UI kit instead of foundation, and we declare the class to be home controller. And the superclass is UI table view controller.
空看出來，當個字。
And then we are going to implement the delegate methods of UI table view. So it's the same three functions: the number of row, the cell for row, and the did select function. So to do that, actually you can just use the autocomplete in Expert. So the first function to override is the number of row. This one. There's a number of rows. And the second function is a cell for row, so it just types override and then cell for row. You'll have autocomplete and then you can just press enter. And the third function you override is the select table view cell. For number of rows, we can just simply return maybe 5. And for the cell for row, we'll use the very default method. We'll just let cell equals to, we'll dequeue the cell from the table view. We use the same method as the previous class. So you will reuse the identifier you declared just now. So just now you declare it as not cell. In the next part. And you return the same cell. And for the time being, you don't need to write any code for the deselect row function. And then you can just run it. You should have 5 table view cells being displayed. More time total.
即係佢用綠 cell 或者啲翻佢咪用呢個綠 cell 去影翻啲 cell 出嚟。
所以你喺 storyboard 要加翻個 identifier 係呢一個名。咁你 storyboard 揾翻個 cell， 然之後係睇嗰個 cell 嘅 identifier 有冇呢一個，咁先認到。
Before you can run it on simulator, you need to open storyboard and then make sure the table view controller is confirmed to the class you just declared. You click on the table view controller and then on the right pane you will choose the class to home controller and then you can run it. And you should have 5 cells with title being displayed.
喺邊度撳埋呢啲塊啊？
唔係呢啲塊啊？你話要改？你個塊係已經，你而家係冇個塊係呢個。你改嘅呢個
綠 cell 係有冇加翻？
你開翻所有嘅 table cell。你啊，你做。跟我重頭你兩個。唔識講咩都。嗱。咪先啊！咁啊，佢唔識做頭係唔識。呢個唔知，我知道係有時會有風格錯，但我唔知有咩風格。我就好似派博咁樣，啲寫成執得好嚴格。你標 friend 如果點入去啊？你都係佢個人可以你搞緊嘢多時。哦，呢個咩法？睇翻
個 cell 係靠翻 identifier 嚟嘅嘛？咁即係係嘛？
係用翻邊一個標？你可以 set 幾個 port？ 第幾個咯？即係 array 個 index 咁樣。因為你可能唔止一個，你可能整多幾個咯，跟住每一個都唔同嘅 identifier。咁之後 index part 可能唔同嘅數目嗰佢 indicate 嘅唔同 index part。咁而家得一個啫嘛，所以就呢排。
嗰啲畫面質上到黐線，對好多位都有黐線。
咁你知道呢一個嘢佢係一個 MS index part， 咁你知道呢個其實代表咁因為你 general 咯，即係1至5不同嘅石，咁所以你唔可以最快。
So now we're going to write the code for the second. So click on the segue between the we will click on the segue between the table view controller and the node view controller. And then you will copy the identifier for the segue so you can use it later. So now you have copied it, and back to home controller you will just write the code as just now, perform segue, and you will just paste it there, and sender itself. And you can run your app again. Now you try to tap on the table view cell, it will perform the segue and present the node view controller. You should have something that like this.
perform security 跟住第一個方
嗰條 linkage 加應該得係咪？
你嗰個同埋嗰個
你撳啊！
可能將呢個大隻嘅 record 整出嚟，其實咦3
你真係你個名係啱。
我幾個同嗰個，你係咪都係？我到嗰度，我係唔知13，總之好似有啲係咁。
我覺得係部機慢咯，摸唔到啊，摸唔到咯。
佢有啲撳到去，呢個撳到，第二個又撳得到。3唔得，24咯。
個 key 啊嘛，
It's not set 嚟嘅，home to not set 嚟嘅，Q 啊 Q 啊。
你喺度 sorry 嗰度冇。
我真係呢個真係覺得係 Q 咯。
係，你都有震咗，你震咗呢個嚟，我都有時，我震咗嚟。
費事轉嚟轉去轉翻慢啊嘛。
咦係喎，我都打錯，但係我 copy and paste 又冇事。跟住我打係咪？
So we have done with this page. We will continue to design the layout for this node view controller. So to do that, we will go back to storyboard. So now to display the text, we will use the text view element. So we use text view to display the text. So we drag the text view and put it into the node view controller. And then you can drag it to fill the screen. After you have dragged, you will set the constraint to be 16 pixels from four sides of the screen. But before that, there's a bug in Xcode that you need to do something to fix it. So instead of setting the top constraint to top layout guide, you need to choose the view. The current distance is like more than 80 pixels. So this is a bug in Xcode. They haven't fixed it, so you need to choose the view instead of the top layout guide. Choose the view and make it 16 and 16 from the other side. And then you add 4 constraints. And you can see that the constraint actually extends from the top below the navigation bar. But it's okay because there's a bug in the storyboard, so you need to make it extend right below the view. And you can update frames to make it. And then you can try to run it. Even though it displays wrongly in the storyboard, it actually runs fine on the simulator. So you need to make sure that there's a really small distance between the navigation bar and the text wheel.
但係上面你要記得係 set 係 view 唔係 set 係 top layout guide，因為 X 有個 bug 係唔知點解嘅。你 set 到 X layout guide 就會低好多，淨係放 X view 嘅啫。
第一個係咁到啊，全部咁到啊。
唔係，而家你就咁樣寫嘛，即係話如果你見到雙你 set 嘅但我啲 constraint 唔係
你放棄好嘅你，我一條友做兩個，你基本上搞到就算。冇事嘅，你翻睇啊。我為一個 pinch and zoom 嘅 function 都搞咗2日，翻出嚟啊！如果你唔係做一次翻出嚟，做一次就算啦，唔會做唔似嘅。第二個都係嗰啲嘢啫。
第一個唔知係乜，唔知喎。呢個係咩白嚟嘅？
呢個係你嘅白。咩啊？有北喎。有咩北？你有北咗？醫生北。如果有北咗，
唔係我真24撳到，依家4撳到30撳到。冇乜時間㗎啦，啱啱你撳到嘅，依家係要4 3之後再4。呢個發生咩事？呢個係你試下開，你試下。你依家第2個撳到。係啊，你我嘅蘋果，次次都係撳第一次撳唔到，撳第2次撳到啊嘛。係個
我個就唔得，我嗰邊成日
渣啲啦，2咁啲嘢，然之後，但係換係因為部機太貴，部 RAM 佢就話乜嘢啫？部機佢係，
因為佢有一個 bug 㗎，部機嚟。你見到咧，呢個係咪爭好遠？因為你未 declare 咗10個啫嘛，係咪？佢 top 唔多啊嘛。佢呢個 bug 咧係一個，你 delete 咗佢，我哋再加上面你 instead of。而收入得你啊！你試下撳呢一個咧，佢就17，你試下試下。佢就應該佢唔同機唔同嘅反應。
依家好睇我整個點解？我教整啲 gas
係你落，
跟住有 gas
有 gas，
有真有 gas 點解？難嘅係我啱啱頭 update 咗第2個 constraint，第2個 frame 上。
唔係啊，佢用最 native 嘅做有個限制，個限制都幾大。咁我揾 third party 又揾唔到，因為睇少10個。
So you can try to type on the text wheel,
但佢其實佢係想做個 scroll。
and you will realize that once your text is right below the keyboard, it's being hidden from anything you can see. You can try to type again.
但係 scroll wheel 我唔好處理。
If there's no keyboard, you can type Command K to show the keyboard. So once your text is right below the keyboard, it's being hidden by the keyboard. So you need to do something about this. So to do that, we declare a file for our node view controller. So back to nodes, we'll create a new file for the view controller.
咩佢係會呢個
So source zip file and we'll call it node view controller.
對於普通人嚟講係幾大，即係件事係幾大。
Oh, I think to be systematic, I just call it new node.
整個咁簡單嘅function都搞唔掂。係咯。
So home controller is for the table view, so node controller is for the UI view controller. So again, you will change the foundation to UI kit. And then you declare the class to be controller. The superclass to be UI view controller. And then this time we will need the UI text view delegate. So right behind UI view controller, you add a comma and then you declare UI text view delegate, not text field, text view. You declare UI text view delegate right behind the UI view controller so that you can control the behavior of the keyboard. And then back to storyboard, you do the same thing. You select the controller. You select the yellow controller. And then you will change the class to node controller. And then you need to set the text field conform to the delegate of the controller before you can control it. So you will choose the text field, control drag it to the yellow controller at the top. Choose the text field. And then you control drag the text field to the top, you choose delegate. If you don't do this step, you won't be able to control the keyboard. And that's it. Table view 本身已經有咗去 default 嗰個已經有，唔信你自己睇啦。你呢一個 table view 佢本身，佢已經有咗啲 function 俾你㗎啦。跟住頭先你拉到咁係兩個 text view 嘅，呢個咩嚟㗎？跟住你有咩出上一路嚟拉？係 control，即係其實係點講咧？你當係個 view 人做一啲嘢，你要 feedback 翻去 control 啦。
你當係 listener，你係一個好 general 嘅 listener 咁樣咯。
由 text 嚟嘅。
另外一個 class 做嗰啲乜？另外一個 object 做嗰啲嘢。你講名總依家。因為你 view control 係一個parent 喺度，下面有好多 child 嘅 object。咁 child object 發生咗啲嘢嘅時候，咁咪有 parent 可以係，咁 parent 先可以做啲 response。譬如個 object 出現咗少少變化，要彈個 keyboard 上嚟，咁彈 keyboard 上嚟呢個動作就係 parent 嘅負責。係啦，你當佢係個 breach 咯。
So now we drag
，A
the text
我要
view
出嘅
text view
就係
to the node controller and call it content text view.
所以先話你個 communication 你一次就得啦，你幾個 object 都係喺同一個 control 只要一個等面嘅 table，即係你有兩三個 table 都係同一個 table 即係都得。
And we need the whole text view to raise when the keyboard is being raised. So we need to click on this one, the bottom constraint, and drag it right into the node controller. You can see that the type is NS layout constraint, and we will call it bottom distance.
你仲要你對翻睇下 type 係咪呢個 constraint 嘅之後，你撳啦。你入咗去多見到佢。得啊，點解叫你咁做？如果你最想係你最準係你喺度，你拉翻行出嚟，你出翻行出嚟先，最第一個，咁就你依家先開都得。我通常都係呢度。
見到 fat 頭嘅，無邊得一個英文。完全唔知咩話。
So what we are going to do now is to make the constraint bigger, so that the whole text view will be pushed upwards when the keyboard rises. So to do that, we are going to use a function inside the UI text view delegate. It is called text view begin editing. So this function will be called every time the keyboard being raised and start editing. And then we'll now declare the keyboard height to be 270 pixels. So let's keyboard height. And you declare it as a CG float type, which is used for core graphic. And make it 270. So once the text will begin editing, we will try to raise the constraint, which is the bottom distance, dot constant, we are going to change the constraint to keyboard height. And you can run it again. The text will be raised up once the keyboard raised.
你想 default， 你想唔係係咪？你想一開始就知個，即係睇到個感受咧，人哋一開始俾好多字落去，係個風格咪得咯。
佢 stimulator trigger 唔到呢個，
上面數字
我之後見到彈一下就知道嘅，咁咪
就應該會要到係會彈咗上嚟。
係咩？係你 set 嗰個係做咩？set 個係
本身你會落咗去邊度？
你覺得係第一樣先？
我唔會整㗎。
而且你錄嘅話，你錄得晒嘅，睇得晒嘅，我嗰陣時個遮住你知嘅。可以打字落去啫。咁啊，得嘛？用 Enter。會遮住。
即係將 keyboard， 即係將 text view 個筆頭變咗 keyboard 細咗，即係而家係將 text view 頂上去。
係啊，佢係加落去，係將佢再拉翻落去。
細啊！
基本上，
佢撳一下咧，唔知有咩嚟㗎，要撳第二個先可以。我覺得你係曲音問題，但係曲應該係underline。唔係佢嗰個，我唔知嗰啲係點樣睇問題。佢總之係撳任何地方嘅第一下係唔出嘅啦。神乎其技。我覺得係。神奇小說，我覺得都係呢本切實神地嘅。
先跟嗰邊
So to continue with the UI, we're going to add an add button at the top right corner of the table view controller. So to do that, you just search for bar button item. This one. You look for bar button item, and then you drag it into the top right corner. You can see that there is a square, and then you can just drag it there, And at the attribute inspector, you can choose, at the second row system item, you can choose add. And then very easily, you just add an add button to the top right corner. And to make the add button display this page when it is pressed, you can just simply click on the add button and then control drag to the third view controller and then just press show. And then you have this new segue. This one is the new segue you create between add button and this node controller. And we can name it add node segue. And then you can run it and run it at capacity.
我啱先 set 咗一下面，佢唔知點解部機輕輕地唔整上去，唔知點解飛咗下面，已經開始。
得㗎，試下先。
點解空盤網identify？lost set，add node 啊，add push 啊，上下邊差啲差。咁就係自己，咁嗰啲大嗰啲自己嘅係啊，你咁你咁做，即係因為佢push 咧係神嘅單字，佢唔係做真係一個語言複雜嘅意思。
And we will do the same thing for node view controller. We're going to add a done button at the top right corner of the node view controller. So again, we will choose bar button item and drag it to the top right corner of the node. And this time on the second row system item, we choose done. And that's it.
set 嚟啊，單人嘅。冇啊冇啊，未 set 嗰啲個版嘅。依家有幾多啊
仲要呢個，仲有個 live，再講下呢個脫歐有咩影響咁樣，講下講下。
let's do one more thing before we end this class. So because we can add the nodes or we can edit the nodes, so in the node controller we are going to declare a new flag. Let's call it edit mode so that we can know whether we are going to add a new node or we are going to just edit the mode. Edit the node. So we can declare the edit mode as false inside node controller. After declaring the declare mode, we are going back to home controller and then we are going to override the set way again. So at the top, we are going to override the same function, prepare for set way. By using the same setway name, so we just copy and paste it here. So if so under the prepare for setway section, we'll check if setway dot identifier equals to just paste the name. So this is the edit not setway. So if the setway is the name as this, so we'll just again we will get back the destination controller. So we'll let destination equals to setway dot. There's a destination wheel controller, and we will forcecast it as exclamation mark. Forcecast is at not controller. And then if it is edit mode, we will just declare destination dot edit mode equals true.所以就 copy and paste 咯。你係咪照抄出嚟打翻照？我哋 plan 錯咗，所以 copy and paste 咯。
哦，之前考嘅，咁就錯上啦。咁啱先我錯誤，或者會錯。跟咗佢。edit mode 喺邊度？如果要 set 嘅話，邊度係 false 嘅？edit mode 定係 false 開始我？
先 set true 都得㗎，睇你點 set 啫。
但係點解呢度嗰 edit mode 係 false？但係已經彈到 keyboard 放咗呢個 class。
你 declare 嘅啫嘛。
咩唔明？
即係點解呢個要 set 咗 edit mode？
唔係，我而家有分 add new node 同埋 edit existing node。個 edit mode 嘅意思係呢佢彈出嚟嘅時候係要加個新嘅 node 啦，或者係 edit
你諗下喎，
已經有
你加同埋撳呢個都係彈同一個頁面，咁你明唔知道幾時係加緊，幾時唔係加緊？
其實你可以 test 嘅。
咁其實你咪 detect 翻 by 可能 identifier 又好點都得嘅。
So to debug, you can go back to the view controller, and then you can override the method view deload. View deload, and then you call a super method super.view deload, and then every time the node controller is loaded, you can try to print out the message to see whether it's being added or is editing existing node. You can choose if edit node, you can print editing existing node. Else, you can print adding new node. And then you can run it to see if it's edit mode or if adding new nodes.
Good.
So if the setback is from the add button, you can see that it's print adding new nodes. Or if the setback is from the title, it's editing existing nodes. So this is how you use the variable to define whether you are adding or editing an existing node. So that's all for today. So for the coming Thursday, we are going to write the logic behind the saving data on the phone. So we are going to write something like this, maybe a data helper. And then this is all the thing you use. So let's say to add notes, you will have the content. And then we are going to use callback function. Because it takes time for the node to be written to the disk before it's returned. So we need to use callback function to let the node. So basically, when you add the node, you get back the node entity from the core data, and then you declare a new node. And then for the ID, you're going to use UID, which is Universal Unit ID. And then you set the ID to be a UID, and then the content to be the content you pass from the view controller, and then you will use a do catch, and then you will try to save the node. So if the node is being saved, you will call back succeed. If the node is not being saved, you call back fail. So it's something like this. So this is what you're going to do on Thursday. So you also have like fetch all nodes, and then you have edit node and delete nodes later. So I will try to post some example of callback function on the Google Drive after this class, so you can have a look.
你完咗件事嘅時候，温出唔好即係叫温出，即係譬如。
You have no problem, you can leave now. If you have question, you can stay back
有
and
呢個
ask.
spinner 啦，咁佢就 keep 住 spin 啦，咁你咧 test 咗先，就會有 call back，call back 咧就係。